Amar, we're live. Hello,
Happy
how are you?
Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, that's true. How are you keeping? You look like you've got a nice white background, bit of
Yeah,
cobbling. What's going on?
you know, I just wanted to make sure I had the ride to the next corner, so I changed my background.
Yeah, those aren't in the rules, man. That's just not how it works. So, but here we are after the summer break. We get a Grand Prix, and it was packed with a tiny bit of incident and some stuff for
More than
us to
one.
talk about. So there obviously was a championship implication that happened during this Grand Prix, big championship implication. But I want to talk about the thing that I know you want to talk about, which is this entire controversy, I think, about Charles Leclerc and George Russell's move after the second safety car was it? I can't remember. Was it second safety car or third
Oh
safety car?
no, it was the VSC.
Oh, it was after the VSC. Look at that. I was barely even paying attention. But after the VSC,
No,
Charles Leclerc.
we're gonna put a pin in that. The fact that you forgot about that because that'll be relevant to our debate. But yeah,
It's true. I don't pay attention to anything. But yes, Charles Leclerc caught George Russell napping and overtook him. And the incident was investigated, but no penalty happened. No penalty came out of it. But before we talk about the steward's decision, there's a couple of things I want to go through first. The first is, Amar, very quickly, did Charles Leclerc legally or illegally overtake George Russell after the VSC restart?
legally.
Legally! Okay. So with that in mind, did Charles Leclerc deserve a penalty or not?
Well, if he overtook him legally, then why would there be a penalty?
Amar's frozen.
Why am I frozen?
I don't know, but you were so shocked by the question that you froze.
Am I back?
You're back.
The internet is playing tricks with me. Absolutely no penalty. I don't even understand what that question means. Are you trying to
No
trick me?
penalty. Well, look, I hate giving penalties out
Oh
for
no!
racing incidents. I hate it. But we do have to be, I think, consistent. So Carlos Sainz and Liam Lawson at one of the safety car restarts did have a collision, and Carlos Sainz was given a 10-second penalty for what looked like nothing, right? He was super angry about it. But I think when it was explained to him why it happened, if you follow the letter of the law, as per the racing guidelines that the drivers had asked for, then he had to get a penalty because that's just how these work. So with that in mind, nothing is now a racing incident. Like everything has to be looked at with a forensic microscope, and someone has to be apportioned blame. And when someone is apportioned blame, someone has to get a penalty. And like I said, there was no penalty applied here. But I think that is inconsistent given that Carlos Sainz did get a penalty for something that was complete nonsense. Right? And I think that also Kimi Antonelli also, did he get a penalty? He got a 15-second penalty in the end, didn't he? He got a penalty as well for taking Charles Leclerc
Not
out.
enough.
Yeah. Right? Okay. But there were penalties all around, but this one was adjudged to not be a penalty for either party. But let's have a look at what the rules say. I've got my phone in front of me, and I've got the chicane rules. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there are rules for overtaking on the outside, and there are rules for overtaking on the inside. Yes. Mm-hmm. There are also rules for overtaking in a chicane. So I'm going to read you out the key points when it comes to overtaking in a chicane. Right. So the guides for overtaking on the inside and outside may apply for each element of the combination, i.e. the two parts of the chicane, right? Mm-hmm. However, priority will be given to the first corner element, right? So what that means is if you didn't fully follow the guidelines at the first part of the corner, then you don't get the benefit in the second.
Is that also true for chicanes and S-bands as well, or no?
Yeah, this is what it is for chicanes. So for S-bends and chicanes, priority were given to the first corner element. So if you didn't fully follow the guidelines on the first part, you don't get the benefit for the second. We're clear on that, yeah? So let's go back to overtaking on the outside. So for a driver to be given room when overtaking on the outside, including at the exit of the corner, the overtaking car must have its front axle ahead of the front axle of the other car at the apex. Right, let's look at some pictures. This is Charles Leclerc going for a move on George Russell. For clarity, Charles Leclerc is the car in red and George Russell is the car in silver. You will note that the corner heads off to the right. Here we are. It's heading off to the right with a left-hander after. The very definition, Amar, of a chicane or an S-bend as it is in the regulations. Here we can see Charles Leclerc trying to make a move around the outside of George Russell. And I would argue that the big orange blob in the chicane is the apex of the corner. And I've argued that whenever we've had these discussions.
Well, so but again, just so you know, we're gonna keep continuing this, but I would debate that, and that's where the
where
crux
do you
of all
think
of
the
this will be.
apex is? Where do you think the apex
Further
is?
ahead.
Where?
Further ahead.
Where?
I mean, I'm just ahead of the orange block. I mean, remember when
here we are. Here we are, Amar.
We
let's go with your rule. Here we are ahead of the orange blob. Charles Leclerc's front axle is behind George Russell's front axle. So far, he has not fulfilled the criteria for being allowed room on the exit for overtaking on the outside. Let's fast forward a little bit. This is us where I think the apex is. And if anything, George Russell is now even further ahead. His front axle is even further ahead than it was in the previous picture. Ooh. Yes, even further ahead. And
go on.
The result is this. This is us now going into the second part of the chicane, the left-hander. And here, you can argue that he has fulfilled the criteria for overtaking on the inside, except that he's not actually really on the track. But we can argue that in a minute. So there are two things here, right? Number one, I think he's off the track. You can argue that, and that's fine. We can have that argument. But you'll note that the stewards said that he was noted, Charles Leclerc was noted at turn 11 and 12 on this lap for a track limits offence at this corner. Number one. Okay. So by definition, he's off the track.
But no. Noted doesn't actually mean causation is not, it's not the result.
Sure.
Noting, so you get noted for many things.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
You get noted for not slowing under a yellow flag. But
let's give him the benefit. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Right.
Okay. Cool.
But he did collide with George Russell. Right. So George Russell lost a heap of carbon and ended up a second a lap slower than he was before. Potentially, he says, costing him a podium, right? But for that, Charles Leclerc was not penalised. He was not entitled to space on the exit of the corner. So essentially, he came from somewhere that he shouldn't have been and caused a collision. The stewards, in their definition of this, argued that the only thing that they were really looking at was whether or not Charles Leclerc was off the track. But I would argue that that's irrelevant because he caused a collision by being in a place that he shouldn't have been. And because both drivers ultimately said, look, it was a racing incident, and the Mercedes driver, George Russell, on this occasion also said, that's fine, nothing was given. Now, I think you're gonna make an argument here.
No, I mean,
well, so based on what I've said, right, that By the letter of the law, Charles Leclerc was not ahead of George Russell and was therefore not entitled to space on the exit of the corner. So therefore, George didn't have to give him space on the exit, right? Number one. But Charles Leclerc did make contact with George Russell by following through with his move, therefore causing a collision from a place where he shouldn't have been. Why was there not a penalty?
Here's why. You read part of the regulation. Now let me read you the next page of it, which is that many incidents require subjective judgment, and the stewards are guided by the experience of their driver stewards in combination with these guidelines from the FIA. It can be, in some cases, adjudicated that chicanes and S-bends are considered different combinations for overtaking, meaning the stewards have discretion of declaring which case applies which and which is actually fair. Since every track, Chess, this is my point, not to mention every move is a different story, that's the reason why we have stewards in there. Now look, they can be, they can, no, hang on, let me finish. Let me finish.
Please do.
I'll let you.
Please. Yeah. You should say that more aggressively, though.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to be very, unemotional about it because I don't want to get accused of being a homer. But again, look, this race ended up bad for my guy, so it doesn't even matter. But so again, in this case, I would argue that what they investigated didn't have anything to do with what you just said. It had nothing to do with the way the adjudication, the case that you presented, because that's not what they were deliberating. They were deliberating the off-track, on-track issue. That's all they were doing. So I would tell you that everything that you just explained, the stewards actually did not care about that, or assumed that at least Charles was entitled to being given the space in turn 12. That's what I'm saying. But that's the case. But that's what I'm. Sorry.
We have to categorically agree, because this is in the rules, regulations.
No, I agree, but the rules. But you read half of it.
Outside,
I'm giving you the other. Yeah.
Overtaking on the outside means that you have to have your front axle alongside the overtaken driver's front axle, and Charles Leclerc did not have that. He was therefore not entitled to a space on the exit.
Because we're just talking about two different things. I'm just giving you the remainder of the guidelines, in which it clearly says that it can be established in the points that you just mentioned below, that an overtaking driver has priority. And that's what I'm arguing, is that they did not adjudicate it like an S-bend. Well, this is why you have, now whether you like it or not, you have stewards or not, right? I mean, this is why they have made the judgment, and therefore they didn't even investigate the move per se. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is they didn't even think it rose up to the level of, we need to see who has priority or not. Essentially, they ruled this as an overtaking from inside the corner, which is what turn 12 becomes. If you're going to say that this is not an S-bend or not.
I don't think that's what they. I don't think that's what they did.
But look at the document.
As you say, all they looked at was whether or not Leclerc was off.
He was off track or not. That's it.
But
that's just it.
So flawed. Their document is flawed. They haven't looked at this.
Okay, fine. But I'm happy to take that discussion. And we can come to the whether. Look, man, the FIA is not, if not anything, but a sort of a symbol of inconsistency.
This is the problem, right? I don't think either of them should have got a penalty, right? I don't think Charles Leclerc should have got a penalty, and I don't think George Russell should have got a penalty. But by the same token, Carlos Sainz should have got a penalty either.
I think that the whole world is united. The left, right, the center, every political spectrum, every walk of life is united on the fact that the Carlos Sainz penalty was BS. There's no debating that.
Okay. Yeah. But Amar,
but you're expecting consistency.
Asked for these guidelines?
I don't know. The George Russell and the GPDA had.
The driver, all of them agreed. All of them agreed that they wanted guidelines because they needed clarity. And I would argue that this is their fault. This is the driver's fault that we're in this ridiculous situation.
I am more furious about Carlos Sainz getting that penalty than probably most people I know, right? That doesn't mean that applies here. So the only thing I would tell you is
it's an overtake running outside.
No, but these are different corners, different places, everything is different. No two.
But there is a guideline to cover all of these things,
and it is a guideline. It's a guide.
Sure.
It's not law.
This is a slam dunk thing, though, isn't it? This is in an S-bend. You take the first part, and you have room if you're ahead of if your front axle is ahead of the overtaken driver.
It's not a.
It's an absolute. Well, this is the very definition of an S-bend.
This is not me saying that. This is not me just saying that. This is what I'm trying to tell you is
got it wrong
in everything that. Okay, fine. That you can say that, absolutely. I mean, if Stewart's got it wrong, is something we can say at every race. Right? That's fine. Okay. Well, so now you're arguing for a penalty while saying you're not arguing for you. You're saying it's a racing, but you should argue.
Amari, I think you're not understanding what I'm saying. What I am saying is that you get rid of all of these guidelines. Michael Delorso said it in our comments right here. Get rid of these guidelines because they are making the spectacle much worse. They are because actually the entire thing should be about letting an expert steward adjudicate the entire thing. How do you get that? You get that by having a permanent steward that will get it wrong the first couple of times, but over a long enough period of time, if you pay them properly, you get them coming every.
I don't even think that.
Then
that wouldn't have solved this problem. The same group of people decided 2 incidences differently, so I don't even know what to do.
But Amar, that's because they're in this race. They won't be there for the next, and they weren't there for the last.
No. But my point is, Shaz, even as we just said with the Carlos Sainz incident, right? Like, I mean, we're all agreeing that should not have been a penalty. And so I mean, even in the same race, even if you have the same group, they're not consistent. So I don't know what you do with that. Like,
this is why you have the same person or the same 2 people that are just rotating the entire time, and you pay them good money to do that. And I'm talking big money. I'm talking. You pay them like if it has to be $1 million for the season, that's it. Pay them $1 million for the season.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Shaz, if the FIA wanted to solve this problem, we know this. We've debated so many. They could do it today.
That's it.
It could have been done right now.
Like for me, honestly, this is boring. This is so boring for me to have to go.
It's so boring, but this is the thing.
Go through the onboards and find the images and then put them up and then go. This is what the rules say, and this is what happened on track. Therefore, there should be a penalty for this driver. It's such a load of nonsense, man.
No, but what it does, Shaz, is it now creates a proper debate between the Ferrari, Mercedes, Russellites.
It's not a debate. Look, I might agree with you. I might agree with you that neither of them should have got a penalty, right? Yeah. But I can't agree with you because the rules say you have to do this. You have to apply this nonsense.
But again, to our debate too. Again, even in the interpretation, right? Because I went back and looked at the what did they actually look at, the what part of it, right? And they never looked at everything that we just talked about.
Because
they never did.
Because it's a flawed review.
That's the point. Exactly. So whether it's a flawed review, it shouldn't exist. Should be there. I mean, it's all a debate for
They didn't actually even look at the thing happened on track.
So, and I do think, and I will
this
admit,
is why you need professional stewards, man.
Come on, Chaz, should we apply? Like, let's do the LinkedIn thing. Let's join Christian Horner on LinkedIn Premium and figure it out.
That's true. I've been on a
let me just
thing.
say this.
I should do.
I'm glad that you and I agreed here. I thought we were going to have a much contentious sort of debate. But I think it's a racing incident. This, honestly, the move was amazing. It reminded me of Max and Imola on Oscar in turn 1 in different circumstances, everything. My favorite reaction from all of this was Max in the cool down room. Like, but of course, him and Russell have it. So I get it. He's biased in that regard too. But it was a fun part of the race. It all got ruined anyway. Look, maybe I guess to your point, maybe Leclerc would have got a 5-second penalty or something if he had managed to finish the race.
It was 10.
Or 10. But Antonelli managed to kind of.
But then he would have got a grid drop.
I mean. That would be stupid altogether.
The other slightly stupid stewarding rule or decision was Lewis Hamilton getting a grid drop for the next race.
That's because the dumbest shit I've seen, man.
Just give him a 5-second penalty before the race. Like what is that? It's a slam dunk penalty. Why are we having to wait until after the race to find out that either he gets a time penalty to his finishing position or he gets a grid drop at the next race? Why do we have to
That is completely inexcusable, right? And that to me is borderline sort of having an agenda or being vicious in how you're going to apply it. There was absolutely, first of all, it's a pre-race thing, and I get it. It's all about safety, but it was not a race. It was an installation lap. It was before the formation lap, right? So it was an installation lap. Who cares? Like, give him a fine, give Ferrari a fine.
Rules
Like,
are
rules.
rules. So if he's supposed to get a penalty, that's fine. Have a penalty, but then just tell us what the penalty is before we start. Why are we getting a posthumous
in the race? Yeah.
Why are we getting a posthumous result?
And by the way, if the driver is DNF'd in that race, the damage is already done. Like you can't just like. I mean, and so yeah, I mean, look,
this is why Michael Schumacher didn't get to keep his pole position in Monaco in 2012.
No, I get it. I mean, but I get it. But like, if you're going to apply the penalty, like you could have done it right then and there. There's still time between, when the infringement happened and when the race started. Just go talk to them on the grid and figure it out and give a penalty and move on. Like a big deal. Like sometimes I think we just get caught up in the sort of the red tapeism of it too. But yeah, I don't even understand that, to be honest. But look, man, ultimately, as it was a really bad weekend for Ferrari, and yet I felt really great after the racing that went on, because just for a second here, Shez, if Leclerc had no bad luck, then he would have no luck at all. I mean, just behold, like put the racing incident aside, he got essentially done by the Mercedes of old and new. He got done by Lewis Hamilton crashing when he went in for a pit stop, and that ensued safety car, lost position. Then he had to deal with Russell. Probably would have gotten a penalty based on our earlier logic, and then they get taken out by Antonelli. Like I don't. It's like a perfect trifecta.
I thought he dealt with George Russell pretty well both times. Actually, I thought this move that we've just discussed was actually great. It was an absolutely balls to the wall move. It just deserved a penalty, unfortunately.
Well, but I mean, I'm just happy to see that, because one of the criticism of Leclerc is like, where is he? What is he doing? And I just want the line within to be unleashed. Like that's a Max thing. I get it, but like, man, just let's go and have some races behind. Like, because let's be honest, unless you're the two McLaren drivers, you have nothing to lose. Who cares if you come second or third? And it doesn't mean anything, really. Honestly, yes, it means more wind tunnel time, but like, come on, like go.
I mean, I think you are seeing more and more of this though from Leclerc. Like he is starting to, especially at the end of a pit straight. He does like a late move, doesn't he, into the braking zone? He did that again.
I mean, very Max-esque. Yeah, but it's very Max.
Doesn't mean it's okay.
I can't even say that properly. No, I'm not saying it's okay. Like, I think we can just like, look, unless you're in one camp or the other, I know it's really hard to see it objectively, but that was probably the most amazing moment of the race. Like that's probably the only overtake that was really fun, right? If you're just a neutral fan. Anyway, Shez, what do you make of Lewis, man? What do we do with that? Like I don't.
I think why don't we just wrap up the Ferrari stuff with Lewis? We might as well. So look. Lewis was actually pretty happy, I think, with his weekend. Sure, he had an accident that was completely his fault, but look, a couple of thoughts from me on Lewis, and I promise I'll keep it as quick as I can. The first is that the fact that Ferrari are not in contention for a world championship this season, I think, is a blessing in disguise for Lewis, because if that Ferrari was championship worthy and Charles was winning races right, left and center, and he was, Lewis was ending up out of Q1, out of Q2, then I think this season looks much, much, much worse. But in reality, what's happened is that he's been given the grace of a season where actually they're not really fighting for anything. If he finishes sixth, then great, whatever. But it is a building year, and we do need to see some progress. And I thought that coming up to the summer break, actually, apart from Spa and Hungary, where we had some updates and we had some changes, he was making progress. He was getting closer and closer, and he out-qualified Charles a couple of races as well. And even here at the Dutch Grand Prix, he ended up only 0.05 of a second off of Leclerc in qualifying. He finished seventh in the end. He started seventh. And led him in Q1 and Q2. So actually, I think, in terms of qualifying, it could have been a lot worse. And actually, it shows some signs of progress. But my problem is that when the car is bad, Lewis is pretty good. Lewis is, yeah, we're okay. Well, I'm actually only 500ths off of Charles. It's brilliant. But when the car's good, like it was in Hungary, Leclerc sticks it on pole, and Lewis is out in Q2. It wasn't a huge difference. It was a matter of 2/10, but we know that 2/10 can cost you like 8 positions on the grid these days. And my issue is that the art here, the game is to be able to go with the performance of the car. So when the car is good, you need to be going with the car as well. So he needed to be at this level, what he was doing at Zandvoort. That's the level he needed to be in Hungary. That's the level he needed to be at Spa when his teammate was up the front, challenging for podiums and getting the car on pole, right? It's a little too late to be 500ths off your teammate when the car is 6th and 7th and your teammate is going, this is the worst weekend we've had all season. And that's my worry with Lewis, is that I'm happy that there is progress being made and it's encouraging for next season, but it needs to be when the car's good. What I don't want to see is next year Ferrari turn up with a world beater. It's not going to happen, but I don't want them to turn up with a world beater. Or with a car that is capable of winning races, and it's Leclerc that's up there winning the races, and Lewis is being dumped out of Q1 and Q2 Yuki style. That's not what I want to see. And that's kind of
yeah, I agree with you, and I don't know. I mean, it's a head scratcher to see Lewis have that kind of incident. I don't even know when the last time he had something like this happen. I can't remember. I mean, I know there's been some bad races for him, but that was just shocking. Just shocking. And I get it that maybe the car balance was not that great. He mentioned it being twitchy and all that, but you don't expect that, and that plays from that guy, right? I mean, that's just it. The worrying thing for me, Chas, is go ahead.
No, go for it. Go.
I think the worrying thing for me is both. I just feel like the window is closed, right? And this is not a Lewis's old point that I'm making. I think that there's just way too much competition around him now, where I think that's now, when you get into the marginal stuff, the game of inches, the game of milliseconds, right? That's where the problem lies. And the fact that Lewis has chosen to go into a new team, I mean, then that team being as chaotic as Ferrari is, I think that combination, I don't know how he can put it all together, because on the one hand, he's trying to change culture and yada, 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 and all of those things. And on the other hand, he's struggling on the racetrack. And I don't know.
Okay. So, I mean, I know I like to make excuses for Lewis, but there are some to be made. And Mark Hughes put this quite succinctly in that there is a way that Lewis differentiates his talent from other people, right? Or not his talent, but like his driving style. How his driving style gives him pace, as opposed to how others do it, is particular. And it was fine. It worked really well across a huge number of different rule sets. You just think of how long he's been competitive. He's been competitive in narrow track V8 engined cars right through to wide bodied V6 turbo hybrid engine cars. He's been competitive and like very, very competitive across in that entirety of different rule sets and regulations. So adaptability is part of what he does, but there is clearly a limit to that, and there must be a limit to that for every driver on the grid. And just in this current rule set, he doesn't seem to be able to differentiate himself with the style that he has enough to get decent results. Will that change when the new regs come in and ground effect is less of a is less of a performance differentiator, and that actually is going to be, there's going to be a bit more margin in terms of setup. This is what he talked about actually post qualifying, that actually his approach was different, and rather than doing what he normally does, which is changing all the different things on the car, he just went, okay, there's one setup, I'm just going to try and go with that. But maybe in a new rule set where ground effect is less sensitive and there is more of a margin for making a difference with the setup, actually, then maybe he'll be better next season. It's a gamble. I don't know. And you might be right. Maybe the window has closed and maybe the competition is too high. But
I just think that the field.
Yeah, sure. But and I get that. But then he was also able to finish third on the grid, third in the championship in 2023. So that wasn't that long ago. And he just, like a lot of drivers that we make these excuses for, he just hasn't had the machinery. Anyway, look, that's kind of my stance on Lewis. But look, we're going to have to talk about it. But there's a championship battle between these two McLaren drivers.
It's done. No, everyone's saying it's done.
So what do you think? Is it all over for Lando Norris? Is it all done?
I mean, I feel really bad for him. I really do. I don't think that's how the race should have ended for him. I mean, I think we're all probably in alignment on there, most of us, right? Was he going to overtake Oscar? Probably not. I don't think so. I mean, I think that even he admitted to, like, you could get within a couple seconds, but then you really needed to be like, you needed to be extremely quick, like 8/10 quick, and that just wasn't going to happen with a car that's similar. Now, my only question was that, from a strategy standpoint, could Lando have put on a set of softs in the end? But we never got a chance to kind of answer that question, right? It would have been nice to kind of do that and see if there could have been an actual change. Maybe there wasn't a pair of softs.
I think his problem would have been trying to overtake the cars.
Overtake a car. Yeah. So, I mean, no, when the Charles Leclerc full safety car happened, right? The Antonelli Leclerc thing, when they both went in and both put the set of hard. So I thought it was like, wow, this is a good chance to have done an offset, but maybe there wasn't anything available.
I mean, often it's their choice, though, isn't it, to what tire they put on. So just to clarify, if there's anyone that's watching this, of the 11 people that are watching it, if any of you haven't watched the race, number one, what the heck are you doing? Go and watch it. But if you haven't watched the race, spoiler: Lando Norris had an engine failure and retired from second position after chasing Oscar Piastri. So just with that in mind, he's now 34 points behind. That's 2 and a bit. Well, that's a race and a bit behind Oscar Piastri. Can Lando catch and pass him for the title?
I mean, I think in a way this is simplified now. At this stage, if Lando manages to get back in the championship, and let's say it all goes down to the wire in Abu Dhabi, right? Then I think we've answered the question that Lando is a deserving champion. Like, that's essentially how it's going to be. It's very simplified in that sense. I think, Shez, if I'm correct, and you might have 2021 a little bit better in your mind, but wasn't Lewis Hamilton at a similar stage with like 7, 8 races to go, right? He was roughly 30 points behind, give or take. I might be slightly off, but I feel like I read a reference there that said Lewis was way behind too, like a race plus behind as well. And look where that ended. So the fan in me wants this to go down to the wire. So I will be rooting for Lando to close the gap, really, because I would hate to see the championship be lost. And there would be many reasons to, if you were making a pie chart, right? There would be, Lando would have a considerable piece of the puzzle there, but like losing essentially 25 points behind, like that is.
So yeah, I mean,
that's just really hard.
Okay, so is your answer yes or no? Whether you're rooting for him or not?
I think he can make it, because again, I think the math is still not all that bad. Look, he would need to win, I think 7 out of 9 races if nothing else happened. Yeah. Normally, I would have said that's very difficult, but there's only 2 guys. Now, it still is very difficult because Oscar is no scrub. He's not just going to be pushed over. And what you saw this weekend is it just took that little bit for Oscar to kind of put himself ahead of it, right? So, but look, man, a DNF could happen the other way. I mean, there's a part of me that kind of wants that to happen to Oscar too. So then it just kind of levels the playing field a little bit, right? I'm not rooting for it, but I guess I kind of am. You can say that as a fan, right? I don't want him to get hurt, right?
Well, as a fan,
you got jumped down my. But you want that. You don't want to look back and say, "Wow, geez, we came back from the summer break, and first race the engine goes kaput, and there it is." Like, that's not how you want it to go down. If Lando makes mistakes, goes off track, cool. All of that is fine, but you don't want that to be decided, by mechanical DNF. So. I think he can still make it happen. I mean, he's one of 2 cars that can win, Chess, so it's not like anyone else is going to win. Like, I just don't see anybody else winning at all, period. So
yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't see anybody else winning, but I'm with you. No, I don't want no scrub either. describe as a guy that can't get no championship with me.
Wow, man, it's really poor impersonation.
What are you talking about? That's a classic.
It's really great. It's really good. It's really good. It's really good.
So look, what I would say is, you've used 2021. I would say that the difference between 2021 and 2025 is that in 2021, Lewis had the full might of Mercedes behind him to do everything they could to push him in the right direction. McLaren can't do that because they've got both their drivers in the same car. So Lando doesn't have that advantage. The second best example that we've got really is 2016, where you had Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton going up against each other, and everybody remembers Lewis having that massive engine blowout in Malaysia. And at that point, it put him right on the back foot because he had to win every race from there on in, and Nico could finish second to him in every one of those races and still win the championship, which given the dominance of the 2016 car, that was the second most dominant Mercedes of that era, right? Of the 2014 to 2016 era. So nobody actually was going to win another race, despite the fact that Max Verstappen really, really bloody went for it in Brazil. And let's not forget that if he had beaten Nico Rosberg to the podium and finished second, Lewis Hamilton would be an 8-time champion right now. Anyway, that's Max Verstappen costing Lewis
my goodness.
8 championships twice now.
We're going to lose the Dutch Max fan here in a second.
I know. I'm not bitter about it at all. But if we say that is probably the closest comparison, the argument for me is that actually Lewis was a stronger driver that season in 2016. It wasn't his best season, but he was still the faster, better driver, I think, in 2016. So for him to have that DNF in Malaysia, I would have still said, yeah, it's game on, right? Like Lewis can actually win every race and has the ability over Rosberg to do that. The problem, as I see it for Lando, is that he's a driver that is number one behind in the championship even before we got into that race. He was gonna lose ground after the race, even without that DNF, because Oscar would have finished first, and I don't really see him having overtaken Oscar on track. And now with that history, he's got an even bigger gap to make up. So he has been, on balance, this isn't me, this is the championship table. He has been the weaker McLaren driver over the course of this season. It has just made it more inevitable that he will not win the championship because of this DNF, right? So your argument that I see him being able to fight back, I see him gaining, like making up points, but I don't see him gaining on Oscar because the story of this season hasn't been that. Yes, I think that Lando might win the odd race here or there, but Oscar doesn't need to win those races now, so he can kind of take a back seat and be a little bit more blasé about it. Other than he may also suffer a mechanical DNF, but I would say that he's got a race in hand to do that if he needs to. Does Oscar?
Yeah, exactly.
Which Lando doesn't. And just to finish that, this is where I get a bit annoyed, right? Is that when you go on Twitter now, there's suddenly been a heap of Lando fans that have come out and been like, Lando's not going to win this championship because he's had this mechanical issue and this mechanical issue and this mechanical issue. Now he's had a DNF as well. Number one, they're DMing the FIA to say that McLaren are purposefully sabotaging their man. You know what I said about Lewis fans that were saying the same thing about Lewis being sabotaged last year. It's a load of nonsense. But second, what I don't want is this sort of narrative to play out at the end of the season, where if Oscar does win the championship and Lando comes second, that somehow it's twisted to say that Lando didn't win the championship because of this DNF. Because I don't think that is a true reflection of how this championship has played out. Agree or disagree?
I 100% agree with you, and yet you're hoping that people on Twitter will be applying sane logic and kind of thinking that no, you don't. I mean, I get it. Look, as I said, if you were to put up a pie chart at the end of, let's say, the season ended today, right, and you were to put up a pie chart of who gets the most blame, Lando to me gets at least half of it, right? But I think the even if you said the mechanical DNF is 30%, I think it's significant, right? Because again, the guy on the other side does not make any mistakes too, and full credit to Oscar for that. I mean, he too survived multiple race starts, and there was going to be some rain in the air, and it wasn't, and who knows what it was, right? So he did a job well done too, and he would truly be a deserving champion. There is absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. At the same time, I think I don't want to see things like this happen as I did in 2016 either. So I think it's fair. Look, it's an uphill battle for Lando. He's truly going to have to earn all of ours, and especially all the skeptics and cynics over to win the championship. And that's it. If he wins it from here, right, Chaz, or even brings it down to the wire, then I think we'd all have to walk away with a lot of respect for him, because that's what it would have taken for the most part. Yes, some luck would be involved. Maybe not, maybe a DNF, maybe not even that. I mean, Max Verstappen could play a big role in this. You just don't know. But there's plenty of racing ahead to sort of get there. I think in 2 or 3 races time, we can be a little bit more closer, right? Maybe once we get to Brazil, I think that's a little bit closer to kind of get there. But I also, Shez, wouldn't want the Oscar to wrap it all up in the next 4 races. Like, I wanted to still go to the end, whoever wins, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
I wanted to
Yeah,
go
me
to
too.
the
Me
end.
too.
That's all.
Okay, so what you have painted here is a picture in which Lando Norris is the underdog, and for some reason always has been. Could you explain that? Why is
kudos to Oscar
Lando?
for that.
Why is
It's
exactly?
not. This is not. Yeah, but I've never been there for. Look, man, I've never been. I'm not a Lando fan, but I'm not also here for the Lando criticism. I think every time we do that stuff,
You feel sorry
become
for him. I get
reductive.
it. Yeah, I feel like you feel sorry for him.
I don't need to feel sorry for him. I mean, he should feel sorry for me. Maybe bring him on board. Like, I'm happy to be a sports psychologist or whatever. Like, if he wants that. Shez, what we do when we sort of look at Lando's season that way is that we're completely disregarding the season that Oscar's put together, and that's what I don't
Yes.
like to do. Like,
Yeah,
you
let's
do
do
not
that.
have to take away from one to give the other. You do, just because you praise Oscar doesn't mean Lando is SH1T or vice versa. You can just behold the season that Oscar's put together, which by all accounts is very amazing. And if he manages to hang on, which again, it seems like from his psyche and sort of his makeup, he will, and his manager, Mark Webber, like, I think they'll make sure it happens. Kudos to them. I mean, you got to salute them. I mean, my only complaint here is that why can't Charles Leclerc get a car like that? Or maybe your complaint is, why can't George Russell get a car like that? That's the only thing we can complain about. That's about it. Other than that,
I don't really care about George Russell getting in a car
it's
like
not
that.
a George
fan. It's not about that. Look, I think you're right. I think we do need to talk a little bit about why the challenge that Lando has is so great, because Oscar, as you said so eloquently, ain't no scrub. And I don't think we do it enough. We did a video last week about how great Max is, but I think we don't give Oscar enough credit. And a lot of it is to do with the fact that me especially, is are criticizing Lando, and it's not doing Oscar justice, because Oscar, time and time again, has turned up to a track in FP1 and been behind Lando. And he was again here. In FP1, he was what, a 10th and a half, 2 tenths off Lando Norris? And yet by the time we get to Q3, he is 12 hundredths of a second quicker than Lando Norris. And if this was an isolated event, I would say it's fluke. He just lucked into that 12 hundredths of a second. Maybe Lando made a mistake. But every race we go to, and these are even at tracks where he has not performed in the past. China, he was nowhere last year. And in fact, look where he was in Zandvoort last year. He was miles behind Lando. And yet this season, something has switched in him. But actually, even that is reductive, because he has shown in every season that he has competed in Formula One, and before Formula One, that whatever flaws there are in his performance, whether it's tyre management or one lap pace or race management, he improves on every aspect of his game season to season by a huge amount. He's in his third season, and Lando is the underdog. He was the underdog for me when we came into this season.
Yeah.
How has Oscar Piastri done that? And that is why this championship is so difficult for me to assess, right? I can't use Lando as a true yardstick for how good Oscar really is, because Oscar, despite being okay, he's close to him, and there's still a mild pace deficit to him overall, I think, to Lando. But in terms of the overall game that Oscar brings, he is performing unbelievably well. But I just don't know how good that really is, because Lando is not the benchmark that he needs to be. The benchmark is someone like Max, or someone like Charles, or someone like George. Those three are my top three in the championship, on the grid right now. Those are the benchmarks. If you're wanting to be seen as the best on the grid, they're the drivers that I think you need to beat, not Lando Norris. And that for me is why there's still a bit of a question mark over Oscar's ultimate potential as a out and out generational driver in this grid. I mean, it speaks to how talented and how amazing this grid is, but there's still a question I think on Oscar, because the benchmark he's up against is Lando, not Charles, George, or Max.
And this is the failure of F1 in this 2025 season, is that you would have expected there to be almost a 2012 style competition, but we didn't get anything close to it, right? Shame on Red Bull for not being able to keep up, because a Max versus Oscar battle would have been great. Shame on Ferrari for doing whatever the heck they did. Nobody can explain. Shame on Mercedes for not figuring out how to be competitive in this rule set period, right? At any stage. So you don't get that, and I think that's a fair question to ask, and we'll probably have a lot of time to debate that next year to see where Oscar kind of ranks, because that's the next thing we'll be talking about, is can he win multiple, right? Because one isn't enough, right? Can you do it again? And I think that's all fair, right? But again, I would just behold here that, I mean, we're going to find out how good Lando is over the course of the next 8 races, because it's now not even a question about winning the championship. It's about, can you dominate the weekend, right? And if he can do that, maybe the next 3 or 4 in a row, at least it turns up the pressure, and then you see where it goes. And again, I just want to be able to see that. I don't want to go through a season where you've already kind of felt where that would be the case, right? And then we'll see where that goes. Like, again, it would have been nice for Max to be there, though. This is exactly what we need. I mean, this is where we needed Max to be there.
Yeah, I agree. Right, okay. Final thing, quick word. We've got 5 minutes. Driver of the day for you was
Isack Hadjar.
Of course it was. Podium, mate. Come on, Isack freaking Hadjar.
I feel bad for him. That Red Bull seat is coming as well. Please. What does Isack have to do? Like, he's gonna have to DNF the rest of the season. Be like, no, I'm fine. Just keep me in the racing bull.
He's so good, man. Like, honestly, like I don't know. Before the summer break, people were having like conversations about who was the best rookie this season, and how can it be anybody other than Isack Hadjar? I didn't need to see this podium to know that, but how can it be anybody else?
I mean, I think it's fair. We saw that coming up last year too. Like, I mean, you kind of knew that. Was it Monaco F2 last year where he dodged he would have gone and rear-ended somebody? I can't remember who it was. The super reflexes. I mean, you kind of knew that there's a. Again, I think
tunnel. I remember.
You remember in the tunnel? Yeah.
Reflexes.
So you kind of knew that. There you go. Good. I mean, excellent result for him, and quite amazing. And that's just it. I mean, look at Alonso again, got in there with that too. No, I mean, talking about the racing bulls, like peak Alonso now. He's right there. He should be a commentator, man. Like, let him retire to the commentator box.
Alonso.
Yeah. Fernando had to get in there because he always has a comment about everyone but himself. He said nothing about Lance Stroll.
They're good comments. Oh, well, hold on. I'll get the phone call. Hello. Oh, hi. How's it going? Oh, Dr. Marco, how are you? Why are you calling me? Oh, you dialed or you're trying to get Isack. What was it about? Oh, a seat at Red Bull? Oh,
He's
I'll
not
forward the
available.
message on. Helmut Marko wants to promote Isack Hadjar to Red Bull to be Max Verstappen's teammate. What do you reckon? Should he do it or
Have him
should he
on speed
not?
dial. Oh man, he's got to run as far away from that. Even Max told him that. No, like just don't be. It's better off. If I'm Isaac's team, I'm like, hey, what do I need to do to get released from the Red Bull contract? Like in period, like you just what do I need to pay? $10 million? Cool, go and sign somewhere else. I think Toto Wolff should be calling him. By the way, Shez, what's up with Toto? Huh? Again, out there defending his drivers, but no contract. Huh? I don't see no contract coming through. Like what's going on there?
That's right. I don't see no ring on his finger. Oh wait,
Yeah.
I do.
He's looking for Isack now. He's like, let me see if I can
Yeah,
get him out there.
yeah, maybe he is. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've rambled on for long enough. I do want to go through a couple of the comments because we've ignored all of you guys for a little while, but there's some fun stuff going on in the comments. You want to take a couple?
Well, Michael agreed with me earlier on, so Michael said many things now. I don't know where he's at now.
I'm just reading the last few messages. Other drivers. This is Michael. Other drivers would try to put Oscar. We'll try to put Oscar in the wall now in Lando's position. That's his only chance outside luck, but he's not that ruthless. Oof. Say how you.
I don't know about putting stuff in the hole, but yeah.
I think you can be ruthless without putting people in the wall, right? But yeah, I think Nico Rosberg.
I mean, Max almost did that.
I think Rosberg would have dumped Lewis in the wall in 2016 if he'd had to. He already in 2014 ruined his pole lap, didn't he, in Monaco? Remember that? So that's a driver that would definitely do it. So I just don't see Lando being that driver. He has said himself, I want to win by being a nice guy. Yeah, that's not really how the cliche goes.
But I mean, there are many exits between sort of putting someone in the wall and being a nice guy, right? You know, it doesn't have to be one or the other. The other thing that would be great, Chess, to this point is that both McLaren drivers get a little bit feisty. I mean, I just want to see a little bit more competition. Like, go bump some wheels. Like, do it at turn 12 in Zandvoort or something. Like, it'd be fun. Like, let's just do that. I'm not talking about taking each other out, but like, let's go. Let's get like a DNF for both of them and like somebody else win or something.
Next year, man. Next year, they'll all be able to follow closer. They'll all be able to overtake, and then we'll have stewarding decisions on every millimeter of the track. So Johan Fienstra, what's that dude? Says Formula One should do the same that MotoGP is doing: sack steward and rules and make a driver the steward with common sense decisions. So I think we already have drivers in the stewarding room. The problem is it's not the same driver every single race. And why should it be? Because they're not getting paid to do it. And the teams, Zach Brown has said, look, if we need to pay them, like, take it out of our earnings. We're happy to pay for a permanent driver steward. For me, that works. You have someone that, as I say, would not get the decisions right every time when it comes to it in the first instance, but you build up experience. You have precedence. And that's how you build up consistent decisions over time. Yes, I agree with Johan. Anybody else?
Johan wants us to respect Dr. Marco says. He's talking to you.
Okay. Travis has said, as a Kimi fan, I have to say he has been the worst rookie. What do you reckon to that?
Yes, in this group, I don't know about worse. I have to think about that for a second.
Are we counting
Liam?
Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan as
so I mean, he was having a good race. Kimi Antonelli was. He might have actually ended up on the podium too. Because he had put on softs, and who knows what that could have looked like if Charles Leclerc did get a penalty, right? He might have. So it's having a good race, barring that one incident. Look, I told you this, Shez, and Toto said that in his post-race comments too. This year is a blank slate because these are his words. We're not in the running for anything. Kimi needs to get everything out of his system, not crash like this next year. When Toto took that chance of promoting a guy that was barely a school graduate, right? I don't think, he just graduated school. Like, this is some of the risk you run, and they're not in it for anything right now, so it's fine. Like, I don't. What good does it do to be the best rookie of the season too? Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not going to change your trajectory. Like, he's going to be
Doesn't
there
get a
with Mercedes.
podium. Doesn't get a podium in a racing
Well,
ball.
but he has a podium too.
Yeah,
he has a
true.
podium.
In a Mercedes where
I mean, I don't know.
where his teammate won the race.
Okay, but I mean, come on. Like, I mean, for a rookie, it's fine, and he has a rookie. He has a much unconventional path.
But he
here
was
to F1 too, so I think
yeah, I don't know, man. He was
yeah, again,
touted as an actual, as a phenomenon.
we hyped him. We
I didn't
as an
hype him.
F1 community hyped him. And I'm not saying you did, but I'm just saying the hype came from outside. And maybe Toto, I guess he kind of hyped. I mean, you don't make a Netflix show on a driver that hasn't done anything just yet. But Kimi didn't come in and say, I'm going to dominate this season and be the best rookie ever at anything. So I think that's get it out of the system. I don't still understand why they don't have contracts. It's kind of amazing, but there we are.
You're so nice to everyone, Amara. I wish I had someone like you in my corner. You defend everyone so lovingly. Anyway, on that note, I think we should probably call it a day. As usual, please like, please subscribe, please leave us a comment. We'll read every single one. We will reply to as many as we possibly can. I am loving doing these live streams. They make life so much easier. But it's also awesome to have you guys chatting away while we're talking. It's brilliant. We will see you guys, where's the camera, in the next one.
Fix it, Fred.
Oh my God.